the number one reason I do not like the social media space for kids is because of pedos, right?
And there's some scary stuff too with the algorithm, which is if I like 12-year-old girls and I look at them a few times, suddenly all my content is 12-year-old girls.
Yes.
And so, we have to be cognizant that the decisions made by bad actors can often put your child at rest when they shouldn't even be there in the first place. And yet you're pushing them in there.
Before you hit send, ask yourself, is this in the best interest of this child? And not just now. Your role as a parent is not to think about now. I mean, think about it. You wouldn't put your child on the streets to dance for people for free, right? You wouldn't take them to a club to dance them for Kwamboka, I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't. But you're putting them on social media doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
So your child may want to grow up and write books, or may want to grow up and, knit.
Yeah.
But, just because they can act or they can sing or they can dance doesn't mean that's their career.
And I think part of this is because parents don't have hobbies. Oh, you don't shoot me.
Hi everyone, my name is Lorraine Zugula, Head of People and Culture at Akili TV, hosted by Akili Network.
And I'm Jesse Soleil. I'm the president and co-founder of Akili Network and Akili TV. And we have a wonderful, esteemed guest with us here today for the Akili Pod. And would you mind introducing yourself?
Hey guys, I am Sheila Kwamboka. Some of you know me as Kwamboks. I'm a broadcaster and I'm also a media owner. And I'm privileged to be seated here with Akili TV, Akili Kids, to speak about some awesome things. And I'm glad to be on Akili Pod.
Thanks.
Yay. We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
All right.
You want to start?
I would. So today we are talking about exploration versus exploitation, right? And I think we've had conversations just before we started rolling, but I think I'll start with what has been your experience in one media or just growing up, then getting to that point where in your 20s now you enter the world of media and there's all this to discover.
So first, I want to premise by saying I have no kids, but because I have no kids, does not exclude me from having this conversation. I realize that we are in a space where, as a millennial, if I had kids right now, this is the space that they would be in, and these are the kind of conversations and questions that I'd be asking myself. And I constantly ask myself what my age mates are doing to tackle some of this technological movement. So when I joined the media space, I think I was about 19.
Oh.
Yeah, and that was as a TV reporter. And it's fascinating because at that time, nobody actually prepares you for the kind of exposure that media brings. I think we all sit on this other side of the screen going like, I want to be in there, you know? I want to be that person. And at that time, we're not talking about social media, we're talking about a TV. So it was a really small ilk of people who are making it, in the world. And so my first dose was becoming a reporter. And that was just amazing. Everybody in your neighborhood, I remember every time my article would be on the news, my mom would call me. She's like, everybody in the neighborhood is watching the news, right? Why? Because my daughter has her article is coming, and they'd watch the whole news, even if I have no. So I think that prestige sort of leads you to want to be in that space.
Yeah.
But over time, I guess what you don't realize is that once you open that door, you can't go back, right? So it's not like, now I can be famous. Okay, now I'm going back. I'm going to retreat and just be insignificant and nobody knows about me. Simple things of just walking into a supermarket, there's just no privacy anymore, right? And now the public wants a piece of you. And so the more you keep going, the more you open that door, the more they they consume, and it's tireless. There's this song, I think it's Hotel California. That's pretty much it. Once you go in, you can't come out.
Can't come out.
Can't come out. Yeah. So that's been my experience. Yeah.
Interesting. You talk about now once you open that door, there's no going back, and that's because also just a privacy thing, and something I'm grateful for in terms of in Kenya, in Africa, maybe we haven't gotten to that point, is the difference between in the US, paparazzis are real. Like you go out, and for the people who, are famous, everyone has a tendency to, I kind of think back to the story of Princess Diana, when she wanted to go, she doesn't want to be in the limelight, right? But the people are following you, wanting to know, oh, what are you doing? What are you on about? And still, is that something that you experience where, now people know you, so when they meet with you, oh, can I take a photo? Even in your worst days, and I've had Kenyan influencers be like, I was in hospital, I'm sick, and someone wants to take a photo with me, And like, I'm sick, and when you say no, they'll be like, oh yeah, Kwamboka is just really rude. I don't like her,
That is absolutely... There are two key critical things you've mentioned there. So yes, that happens a lot. And that's just... there are things that are called the price of fame. I think majority of people think that fame is equals to money, success, and when you watch a movie and the love interests finally meet and the beautiful song, and that's the end. Now people think that fame is what happens after that, the happily ever after, right? And so people just assume that life is good, life is great, and they never think about what's the other side of it. So the other side is these things we're talking about, that privacy is non-existent. For example, so a relationship between someone who's a celebrity and a fan is very psychological. And the two people who are participating in this are not primordially primed to understand how this relationship happened. So tell me somebody who you're a fan of.
Interesting. I'm a fan of Ochiko.
Tell me someone who you're a fan of.
Harrison Ford.
Right?
Oh, wow.
So, exactly. How did you become Harrison Ford's fan?
Star Wars, the first one, and then every subsequent movie since then.
Exactly. You?
His music, I think he has beautiful music. And
Do you remember
I love
the
Kenyan.
first time you became a fan?
When he released a song called Simp. And it's weird because, when you're in love, or even when you just like someone, or when you're in and you just want to give and give and give. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I can relate to this. He knows what I experience and go through. He knows what it is to like someone, and you just want to give and give and give. Yeah, he wrote a song about my life.
Can you imagine? So here are two people who you guys have never met. They have never met you, but you're already having a relationship. You're like, he knows me. You watched him, whatever sparked maybe in that Star Wars, the role, and you're like, I'm like him, I can relate to him. And so every single thing he releases after that, you approve of it, right? So you're already having a friendship with this person. So the day you meet, for me, it's the first time our relationship is kicking off. But for you, it is, you have, I remember the first time, you don't know when my mother died, so there's all these things happening. So what ends up happening? Celebrities, because you're not prepared for it, there's two ways that could happen. You'll either get overwhelmed because I came to this, I've already given you something, whether it was my skill, my talent, but then I didn't know that I also have to be your emotional support. I didn't know that I have to be friendly. I didn't know that I have to be, thank you so much. So I have to keep, this relationship just never ends, right? And so it's like I've taken in your 2 years plus, your 6 years plus. I'm doing a relationship of infinity in this reality, right? And so when I'm sitting in a restaurant, I'm wanting time for myself.
Yep.
But you are meeting me and you've been having a relationship for 8 years. This moment is so pivotal for you.
Yeah.
So I could either say, I don't want to say hi to people, or prime myself to know that now I'm going out, there will be at least 20 people that want to give me a story. So I have to prepare myself psychologically so that day of your 8 years, and it's your first moment to meet me, that I don't break your heart. That's part of the nuances of being a celebrity, right? So depending on the degree of happiness I am in that week or day, or is how much I'm willing to accommodate you. So eventually over time, when you see someone like Kanye, having moments and outbursts, and guys are like, this guy is crazy. Oh, or you see a celebrity smashing a camera and you're like, but you should expect. It's like, you have no idea how much emotional, it's not about the money anymore.
Yeah.
This is
I
where
saw
they see.
Bill Cosby in the airport in Orlando, Florida at 6 a.m. And he was coming through security, and I told my wife, I'm like, oh my God, that's Bill Cosby. And I ran over to him, and he was like, I just woke up, and I was like, Bill, you're awesome. I love you. And this was post all the drama that happened after that. But he was not happy because it was 6 a.m.
in the morning.
And here I was like coming up to him. Maybe he hadn't had his coffee yet. But, he was like, and, at first I thought, wow, Bill's kind of not that nice. And then I thought, it's 6 a.m. and he's headed somewhere. And maybe I need to have a little context, but yeah.
And you're one of those who have time to actually think about your actions, because most people just go like, and then they go. Can you imagine, guys? Imagine it's 6 a.m. I was at the airport. I'm meeting Kwamboka for the first time, and then she just sneered. Can you imagine? And I voted for her in Big Brother 10 years ago. I'm so disappointed. Nobody knows Kwamboka is actually having a mental breakdown at that point. I'm literally having an anxiety attack because there's many people, and that's why you notice that, because people always ask, like, how do celebrities always have things like anxiety? Are this just like
or die, right? A lot of, especially young celebrities, just end up offing themselves, and that's horrible.
Yeah,
but there's got to be a reason.
Fame isn't it's glossy.
Yeah,
trust me, and that's why when I'm very passionate about how parents think that fame. No, talent is equals to fame, right? There's a way you can be able to manage this talent that is responsible for the child, understand and help that child understand. Because I feel like if I had great support, my family, but we were also blind. We didn't know what we were walking into, right? And I've had so much experience, and that's why I love to work with people who are getting into this, especially who have skill. I worry for people who get into fame for fame. Like what are you famous? I'm famous for fame because it will be difficult to sustain that. What do you fall back on? So I feel like for parents who are really trying to take the talent and move it to fame, it's like that's the only way you can become successful, is if I make this talent is equals to fame. And not just fame, it's like, oh, you can dance, but also now we're going to show them that you can cook. What you do
and
during
you can
the day.
sing, and you're also a math genius.
That you go to this school. First, parents, stop posting your kids' uniforms.
Well, actually before, so I think what you started with was when you were younger and fame was something that, you were introduced to, whether you wanted to or not. That was different because it was a smaller scope environment. When you talk about television and being a handful of people who might be on TV, that's one thing. But now you add social media to the mix, and anybody can be quote unquote famous. And fame has a lot of different meanings. For some people, it's I'm rich. For some people, it's people think I'm rich. For some people, it's like, how many followers do I have? For some people, it's like how much engagement, how many people gave me feedback, or, how many people like the outfit I have, or how many people like my song. And this all equates to like a different version of kind of what you're talking about, because now it's like DIY fame. Maybe someone will see something they like, and then I'll be out there. And it's even worse. And I think that's the whole point of this conversation. It's even worse when the person is a child.
Yeah.
And what's a child? Somebody even under the age of 18, even though legally you can be on, TikTok at 13. And by the way, you're not supposed to be on TikTok if you're under 13. But, if you're on TikTok when you're 13, I have 3 kids. You're 13, you're still an idiot. You're still a child, right? You're still learning and being exposed to everything that you said. And now I can have hundreds of thousands of people giving me feedback on something that they think I did or that I wore or, some perception that can be incredibly damaging.
Absolutely. And especially for kids stars. So we have to be very clear that fame and talent, those 2 things can work together, but they're very 2 different separate things, right?
Yeah.
So you as a parent deciding that I want to make my kid famous, I think you need to ask yourself a question of what's the driving force behind that? Is it to amplify the kid's talent? And if it's talent, then focus on nurturing the talent rather than making the kid famous.
Yes.
Right? Because there's a question we keep asking, are Gen Alpha going to have burnout by the time they're 18? Right? Because I imagine if you're taking away my childhood, trying to make me famous rather than nurture my talent in the process of just allowing me to be a kid and grow experiences so that I can be excellent by the time it's time to hit go. You're trying to make me be a superstar at 9 and then I retire at 30.
If you survive.
If I survive, And then every time we see kids superstars, by the time they're getting into their 20s, they are really having a tough time.
Yeah.
Right? So what's the driving force of trying to rush your child to get to that? So I feel like a lot of parents are caught up in, especially, I'm going to focus on the ones who have talented kids, right? You've spotted a talent in your child. I'm hoping that's the driving force. And now you're like, you want to nurture this talent.
Yeah.
How do you make something more famous before you've nurtured it?
Can I ask you a question, though, about that? Because if I'm a parent, I love my children, and I think whatever they do is awesome.
Yeah.
So are they actually talented because I think they're talented?
And that's the problem, right? What we have out here, okay, I'll speak from somebody who runs a talent platform who's been running it for over 10 years. Mm-hmm. When you meet somebody who's in their mid-20s, mid-30s, who was just never told the truth.
Yes,
and now
do.
They're investing a lot of their resources to be able to pursue a dream that, all you just need to be held your hand and just...
Well, their energy, their money, and their ego is wrapped up
in this, right? I think parents play a pivotal role in nurturing a kid's talent, right?
Yeah.
And nurturing it is, if I see a kid who can dribble a ball, right? Do I then start training them?
Yeah. He's going to be in the NBA, even though he's 4 feet tall.
Yeah. What am I going to do? I'm going to take them to an academy.
Yeah.
Okay, if I see my kid is good at math, right? Do I then say that now I'm going to find them a job in mathematics? No, I'll take them to a school so that people who are certified my job as a nurturer is to find a way to give you room for this talent to grow. Yeah. Why must it grow on the internet?
And I think there's another piece of this that is often overlooked. Just because I see something that my child can do well doesn't mean that's who they are or who they want to be.
Yes.
And so, your child and children are exploring and they're also curious and they're trying things. And just because they're good at math doesn't mean they want to do math.
Honestly.
That's something we have to be really careful of. So we're promoting features oftentimes of things that our kids are doing, and we're saying that's the thing, and that may not be the thing, because I've gone through a lot of different likes and dislikes, and we've talked about on a previous podcast about how parents often perceive what they think is success and project that onto the kids and set them up for that, and in some cases decide that that's going to be their trajectory, whether they want it or not.
And that's why I'm saying, if you look at a parent with their kid online, before you hit that post or send, the question you should ask yourself is, what's the driving force behind putting my child's content on the internet?
Yeah.
And you have to be truthful with yourself.
Yeah.
Am I doing this because it is building Jaden? That if he looks at this, I use Jaden because of
Yeah, I'm
I was
wondering. You've
wondering,
used
I'm
the
like,
Jaden
oh,
before.
the
So I'm
kids
like,
wondering.
Jaden.
the kids are called Jaden. Like,
And Willow.
Yeah,
they're
Jaden.
just copying. Like, honestly, guys, you need to be creative, okay? So I'm just giving an example that guys can relate to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you find that if you're posting this and saying that this is going to help Jaden, access But if it's just to make him famous, the question is he asking for it?
Yeah.
Is Jaden asking for it? Number two, is it sustainable for the child? Sustainable, and that's the thing about fame that parents don't understand, right? If you had put me in, and I was saying if I had to go back, I would have started at 30.
Yeah.
Because I just want a bit of, there's so many things I was robbed, right? So in your early 20s, when you're supposed to be like meeting people and just being carefree,
Yeah.
I already had a spotlight on me,
Yeah.
right? So what ended up happening with that is it really played on my personality, because I'm now outward facing, but also so things like anxiety start popping in, because I'm like, people are always talking about me, like people are always watching me, you have to reach a place where you're super content with that. Why do you want to expose your kid to that? Just because you think they're talented.
Yeah.
And you're trying to get them to say a kid can sing. Is the only way a singing kid can be successful to be exposed on the internet before we even know whether this is something they even like. So there needs to be room to first nurture, expose the kid to that skill first before you introduce them to an audience, right? So we find that the hub, the cocoon that the kids are learning. I mean, I've watched kids grow on the internet.
Yeah.
Like I've watched kids turn 15, and I'm asking myself, if this kid reaches 25, right, with all this level of exposure, and now I already have this is who you are. If tomorrow this kid decides I want to be this, it's like, we already know you for this.
That's actually what I wanted to ask is, what if a kid changes their mind? I like something in the here now, but later on I want to change my mind. I don't want to.
I got a great example of that. Ariana Grande.
Miley Cyrus.
Right?
Yeah.
Start out on TV.
Yeah.
On a kid's show.
Yeah.
And they're wonderful personalities, and suddenly they start singing.
Yeah.
And then people at first were like, Ariana Grande? Miley Cyrus can sing? Oh, that's weird. And then suddenly their persona became, I'm a singer, I'm a performer. Now Ariana Grande is not just a singer, but she's also an actor. Right? So I think, what's the evolution? She started as an actor in kids stuff, and now she's in Wicked. Like, come on, guys. People can be all kinds of things. You don't have to put a label on everybody.
Yeah. And the damaging side, I think, for parents who are looking at, it's always successful. I'll show you, there's so many transitioning from a kid star into actual functioning adult. There are challenges, especially when it's too much overexposure. Look at Britney Spears, right? It's almost like she was stuck in her teens, right? And she's spoken openly about it. It's just some of the things that were happening in her career, she wouldn't have chosen them, right?
Yeah.
And remember, you're the parent who's making these exclusive decisions on the kid's future, right? Miley Cyrus, right? She had been put as this good girl, and then she decided when she hit 18 that I want to be a bad girl.
Yeah.
And the public could not fathom, right? Like, what are you saying?
Yeah.
So,
You're Hannah Montana.
exactly. And she's
Such a
like,
sweet girl.
No, bad blood, right?
Yeah.
And now everybody's losing their minds, right? And so many stories, like there's so many kid stars. Those ones that I've mentioned are the few that are at the top. Those are like the 0.01%.
Right.
Yeah.
Majority do not
Even
do
make
the transition, right?
Yeah.
Why? Because the persona of being a child into an adult, you see me like this. I will grow up, my voice will break, and no, we don't like it.
Yeah.
My look will change, and now it's like, what happened to the cute kid?
Yeah. You need some
Macaulay
work.
Culkin.
Yeah.
Right?
And I want to
did he ever
experiment.
act as an adult?
No, actually. Well, maybe.
Barely.
His brother took off, though.
He was when we were kids,
Yeah.
he owned, was it Christmas? Home Alone.
Oh, yeah.
Home Alone, yeah.
Right? And then he didn't make it as an adult because the look, everything, he didn't transition into like a...
And they box you.
Exactly.
It's like Harry Potter, we expect him. No, that's the only thing you can play.
Exactly.
If you played a villain when you're a kid, or even as adults, we always expect you to play the villain.
You're a villain
You
now.
can't, if I see you as a good guy, no, that role doesn't fit you.
There's a dimension of what you mentioned, and it's strange that, Macaulay Culkin being the only male that we talked about, but the objectification that takes place of young women, particularly on not just on television or in the media, but also now on social media.
Yeah.
That is also incredibly dangerous and destructive.
Do we have time? Do we have time?
Let's just go. Let's go.
I could
Let's
go
see.
in.
Yeah.
The number one reason I do not like the social media space for kids is because of pedos, right? So I don't have kids, but I have the data, right? So Roblox.
Yeah.
The only reason I'm curious is because, like, we'll be in social spaces, and I mean, my age mates, and I have many kids around me, and what infuriates me is we'll be in a beautiful garden, sun is shining, and all the kids are like this.
On their phone.
Right?
Yeah.
And the parents are on the side just having a conversation. And I'm like, we can't do networking, or if we're hanging out, then we have to have activities that involve us and the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So one of us has to be like, hey, the clown for the day or something. But there's no way I'm sitting around kids and they're on phones, right? We don't do that. But that's just the reality. So I started to notice this Roblox. So I did my research. And I'm like, how is every article mentioning that this is a haven for unsavory characters?
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. If I have a taste, and then it's like there's a supermarket that has just opened called Kids, and it's free to walk in. And I can scroll and scroll. And guess what? The parents are the ones who are selling this content. Buy one, get one free forever. Your child. You're putting them in positions. The crazy part is the audience is the one that's determining. They're telling you, hey, I'm going to top up. Tomorrow put her in a pink outfit.
Yeah.
And you're doing it. You are culpable. Because I said, before you hit send, ask yourself, is this in the best interest of this child? And not just now. Your role as a parent is not to think about now. I mean, think about it. You wouldn't put your child on the street to dance for people for free, right? You wouldn't take them to a club to dance them for Kwamboka, I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't. But you're putting them on social media doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right? And you're even telling them, tap the screen. Guys, you are not doing it for the best interest of the child.
Right.
And if you tell me it's about school fees, that's not the best interest of the child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not a money-making machine.
It's not. So when you look at these things together, you ask parents, what's going on, right? When countries now have to be able to, there's a country that has just signed into law, I think it's one of the European countries, that kids are not allowed on socials before the age of 15. 15, right?
Which is still too young.
Which is still too young, right? But it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Right? China, say, having to literally stipulate time for parents on how long their kids can be online gaming, right? Because parents think that social media is TikTok, they don't know that all these other spaces where there's a subscription, where there's communication, that all these are social media spaces. And you can't toss your kid in Roblox and say, yeah, they're obsessed with that thing. And there's a person there grooming your child.
Do you know, it's funny you mentioned that. And I think one of the creators of Gmail, or people who work at Gmail, I was watching their content and they were speaking about you said social media is not just TikTok and WhatsApp and, all the rest. Gmail is also media in some format.
WhatsApp.
And, and they were talking about, I'm addicted to Gmail because the first thing I wake up is I open my Gmail. I'm like, what? You open your email? But I'm just like, oh my goodness.
That must be a boom.
So I'm like,
there's
now
an endorphin rush when you see stuff. It's like getting a gift, whether it's in your mailbox, literally, or your mailbox on your phone.
Yeah.
If you're getting a package that you bought something, and I hate the idea of shopping online because I love the idea of shopping, but I love the convenience of shopping online. And there is an endorphin rush when something just arrives at your house for you.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, nice. Yes, it's my toilet paper, but this is for me. It's a package.
Yeah. I reached a place with social media where I have to be aware that my mind is being curated. There's a curator called the algorithm, right? So we are now in a space where even for us as adults, like I'm realizing that, you could be having conversations with grown folk and the content, you're just like, oh my God, you need to throw away your phone. You need to, you gotta.
Well, and there's some scary stuff too with the algorithm, which is, if I like 12-year-old girls and I look at them a few times, suddenly all my content is 12-year-old girls.
Yes.
And so, we have to be cognizant that the decisions made by bad actors can often put your child at rest when they shouldn't even be there in the first place. And yet you're pushing them in there.
And that's these things. And that's the reason why I always say that when it comes to these things, you can't say the government, you can't say, oh, Zuckerberg, you're the first line of defense.
Yeah, absolutely.
You need to, the same way and why it's critical for me to tell you this is because the second part of, before you posted, to ask yourself, is this in the best interest of, because I promise you, when your kid turns around and goes to court, these are the things that they're going to bring. It's like the lawyer will be asking you, was this in the best interest of Jaden?
Yeah.
And they're like, but you can see there, he's wearing the pink shorts I bought for him. The audience likes him. He has 10 million clicks.
Yeah.
And Jaden is like, I didn't ask for it.
Yeah.
Right? It's damaged me in XXX ways, and he's thrown you on the street because he's taken everything you own.
Right.
I hope this doesn't happen to you.
Well, but there's a funny thing, though, which is, the scale isn't necessarily the effective part, because my daughter was famous at school because she was the lead in a couple of plays, and she was very outgoing and lovely. And her fame at school got her attention she didn't want from people at school. It was a smaller scale. It was exactly the same dynamic.
Yeah.
The bullying, the bad language, the horrible things that she had to endure.
Yeah.
But it wasn't millions of people. It was hundreds of people. And suddenly, and that's the thing that is also part of this that people don't understand. Your kid at school has a persona. Your kid online has a persona. Your kid at that event has a persona. Like, they're all different microcosms of people who are interacting or having the relationship we talked about earlier.
Yeah. And so the first part is best interest. The second part you need to ask yourself is, yes, you're doing it for best interest, right? And that time it's fame. But the repercussions of what you're doing, it's him or her who are going to have to carry, which is, I'm in school. Yes, we've done this great content and whatnot, right? But then when the cameras go off and I have to live normal life, right? When I'm being bullied in school because there's a kid who thinks that maybe my content is corny, right? You do not carry that part of the consequences.
Yeah.
It's me who has to carry that. When we go out to the supermarket or whatever, you're taking the responsibility of like, I'm going to make you famous.
Yeah.
I didn't ask for it. But now I have to carry the responsibility of the fame because nobody knows you. They just know the child, right? It's cute when it's 6, 7, 8, and they're just like, yo, look, Jaden, do that thing that you do. But when I'm a teenager and I'm having all these changes in my life, and I'm even questioning who I am, and then you've added this extra dynamic which I didn't ask for.
Yeah.
You have to ask yourself before you post these things, is this in the best interest of this child now, when they're a teenager, when they're in their 20s, when they're in their 30s now, reaching that dynamic where they want to start a family, and they have these random videos of them doing things that they didn't ask for. Will they be happy? Is this their best interest? Yeah.
Interesting. That's what Hannah Montana was kind of about, is you wear a disguise so that you can lead a normal life as a child. Because in that case is I'll wear the wig, I look completely different. But then when I remove it, I lead a normal life. But then now, how do we get to, if I'm a parent, and I notice talent in my child, how do I intentionally nurture the parent? Because as I look at it, I can understand maybe in their own skewed way of thinking that if you look at realities like the Kardashians, it taught us that being famous from when you're young gives you a leg up. For example, when they launched their businesses, you already have the platform. And in that platform you have your consumers and your customers. So it kind of gives you a leg up, as we're talking about the pros and cons, right? So I'll buy their makeup because I know them from when they're young, or they already have the audience, and I can kind of trust. It's a trusted brand, right? And so you don't start from the starting line. You have a head start in life, right? So for parents I want to be intentional with my kid's parent and with my kid's talent. And I've had parents come to me and they're like, oh yeah, you work at Akili Kids. Do you guys have acting? And like, yeah, my kid is really good. We should put him online. And it might come from the best of hearts, or, but without knowing I don't know what the consequences look like, but I want to be intentional with their talent.
I love that. Intentional, right? So first, you have to be aware that your job is a facilitator. I'm going to facilitate for your child to be able to experience the full depth of this talent. And they can decide for themselves how far they want to go with it. So yes, you can put them in all the dancing academies, dancing competitions. And tomorrow Jaden wakes up and says, Mom, I don't feel like going. Please allow them. Right? Not say, hey, we've come this far.
Yeah.
There's no turning back.
You get, and Jaden is like,
family,
no,
don't quit.
You get. So that's why it's important for you to ask yourself, is it in the best interest of this child? Always keep yourself in that space of asking, is it in your best interest of the child? And then the second thing, why I insist on the nurture part, is that getting in is great, but getting in fast, getting in quickly could lead to... Fame is something that once you get in, you can't come out, right? Which means it's something that will stay with you forever. And the person who is being put in it, the kid, is not the one who will is the one who will go through the nuances of fame. So you have to prepare them mentally, psychologically, physically. Let them understand what they're getting into, right?
Yeah.
If they were getting into a business or doctor, right? That's a career, right? When they go home, they leave the doctor in the hospital.
Yeah.
They go and become a normal person. It's not the same with this. With fame, it's not the same. Even when you go home, when these cameras roll, they go off and you're at the supermarket and you yell at someone, there's a consequence, right? So there's a preparation psychologically, mentally, that you have to prepare this child before you expose them to fame, right? And that's why I worry that you want to quickly just switch on the camera and put them there and then deal with the consequences later, right? And you're not the one who's going to go through the consequences. So I feel like the questions you need to ask yourself as a parent, because fame is, there's talent, and then the consequence is fame, right? So there's talent. If they were a doctor, they wouldn't necessarily need the fame.
Yeah.
They're a football star. The consequence is fame. So yes, you're training them there, but you didn't train them on. Now you're property of the public. And that's why you notice like an 18-year-old, they have 20 kids with 6 different baby mamas, right? They're always in the news. Like, it's not about the talent.
Yeah.
And now you as a parent have to be like, my son Jaden is so
that's
nice.
kind of a talent to have 20 kids with 6. No,
You know,
kidding.
because Jaden, just all they were taught is that you're a star. Yes to you. Yes, you know, and that's what fame is. People just say yes to you for all sorts of things. If you don't have that internal, you know, it's all about the talent. Focus on your talent. The fame is just a byproduct
Of it.
of the talent. But if you're bringing the kid with only fame, fame is fleeting. Today they think you're the best, right? I've done radio, I've done TV, I've done Big Brother, I was a model, right? In all those different spaces, you fell off, right? Like, so I decided I don't want to model anymore. Now they're just saying, yo, where's that girl who used to? So the fame of modeling goes.
Yeah.
The fame of radio, I'm no longer in radio, is gone, right? So my next venture, if I only had fame, right?
They're like, no,
People
stick to
lose
what
their
you know.
minds. I'm telling you, people refuse to step away from the limelight
Yeah.
because you become insignificant. You're used to people hearing you and hearing you and hearing you. When you speak that, tell us again.
Yeah.
And now you go to nobody's, and this is all you've been primed. Your parents have just been telling you this, do that thing, and now guys don't care about it. You're left, you know? So you have to prepare your child psychologically.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're called values. Yeah. You have to give them values. Yeah.
There's this a visualization that keeps returning to me is, you know, those somewhere there's a square in Italy and there's a guy, an old guy with a box, and he's turning a crank, and there's a little tiny monkey that's jumping around that wears a little fez, and people are dropping money in his bucket. And I feel like that picture is what oftentimes parents are thinking, that their child is that trained monkey, and they're not thinking that monkey is going to grow up into a gorilla and rip your head off.
Yeah.
And I think that this is different. It's like you're not getting your child into this because they're excited about it. You're getting into it because you are going to get something. And this is the part where oftentimes the ego that's being fed isn't just the child. The ego that's being fed is yours because you're the progenitor, right? I created this wonderful talent.
Let me show you.
Yeah, she's awesome. That's all me. Yeah. I started that. I nurtured her. I put her into the academy. That's me. And so, you know, you're taking credit for somebody else's success in that process. And I think that's something that we forget oftentimes.
Yeah.
You know, you're promoting them, but aren't you taking some pride and some pleasure and feeding your own ego with their success?
Yeah. And there has to be a solid balance between that. Look, we're now in the age of AI, right? And new things will unfold. I tell people that I love being awake, you know, because you wake up and you read something and you're just like, we did that?
Holy crap.
I'm alive for this? Like, there were people who would tell me moon landing. I'm like, we done everything in my lifetime, right? So it's so exciting. But then at the same time, I have to, and I'm my child, okay? I'm nurturing me. There are things I have to stop myself from participating in because I'm like, I don't think I have the mental. Let me see how this goes first, right? So, but we live in a world where breaking news. You know, remember when you'd watch the news? The other day I saw CNN putting breaking news, and I died of laughter because I'm like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
What does breaking news mean?
We just got this from X.
From the university. So breaking news back in the day, you see, and then the information is flowing, and people will be like, you know, so fascinated with the news. But now it's like unfolding at a faster rate, you know, than you can even process what's going on. And with that skill of breaking news, what ends up happening is that people think that you have to have it hot.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like, the movie came out today, I have to have it.
Yeah.
There's a new, I must participate.
And if you don't know about it, what are you doing with your life?
You lost.
You know, and you put the child in that system, and you're participating in things sometimes you don't even understand the consequences. So later is when you're like, yeah, we did this and it was like, it didn't really work out, right? I feel like you have to be vigilant. You can play around with yourself, right? But when it comes to someone else's life, and there's something you mentioned, like taking part in someone else's success. Do you know how many times I have sat with people age 20s, right? And they tell me, I've just spent 7 years of my life in university to get a degree for my parents.
Yep.
Right? And then now they're coming to me saying, I want to learn how to nurture my talent.
Yeah.
Right? So you can what's the word I'm looking for? The things you didn't participate in, and you feel like, you know what success looks like? That's not your job. That's not your job. Your job is just to nurture, create space for your child's talent so the kid can act, right? Yeah. Do you then immediately find them an audience?
No.
Or do you find them places to be able to enhance the acting? Find them other actors, people that they can be able to mentor and then use the right appropriate channels so they can dance, right? Isn't it better if they can nurture the dancing? Or is it that tomorrow there'll be no long, this skill will have died?
Or the other part of it is, I love to act, but I like writing more. And that's the part, again, where we get fixated on something because my child's good at it, not because that's what they want.
Yeah.
So your child may want to grow up and write books, or may want to grow up and, knit.
Yeah.
But, just because they can act or they can sing or they can dance doesn't mean that's their career.
And I think part of this is because parents don't have hobbies. Oh, you don't shoot me? Yeah? Okay, I'll explain.
Have your 9 to 5.
I'll explain.
Is your hobby taking care of your child?
The average millennial, right, is like their side gig is their hobby.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I can cook. I am starting a bakery.
Yeah.
Right? Like anything else that is not work related, I am turning into a hustle. Exactly. So then you look at Jaden dancing, and that becomes the problem.
Yeah.
Just reiterating what you're saying, that I see Jaden dancing or playing football, then automatically I must make money out of it, right? Or I must give him an audience. And remember, the part of the audience, this is why you have to be very vigilant and ask yourself, why am I hitting send here? Is it in Jaden's best interest? Like, what am I trying? Am I bragging? And you have to be intentional with these things. Like, am I just bragging to the world? Like, look at what we made, guys.
Well, you're also
amazing.
setting up, turning that child's responsibility for taking care of you in the future. Hopefully this Jaden's going to be a friggin' football star, so he can send money back home. Because I need to take a vacation. I need to go on holiday. I'm retiring at 40 if Jaden kills it.
But we guys, when I was a kid, I sang, right? I played football. I swam. Like we so you can imagine my mom with a camera, just running around the bush like, whoa, look at what
Now she's playing guitar.
I mean, so every day I would be forced to be, or maybe my parents would have curtailed sort of what I'm trying to say is nowadays kids who have, what we're seeing is kids' hobbies, most of them.
Because even gaming, they've turned that hobby into, it is content.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like,
esports.
you can't just play. I can't just be, Mom, look, today I learned this and now I'm doing this. What? The world must
Do
see
it
this.
again. Repeat it.
And then now there's another parent who's watched this and said, Jaden, come here. Can you do this?
Yeah.
Can you do this? Do this. And then now this. Are you getting my problem?
Right, yeah.
So you as a parent have to be intentional. Ask yourself, why am I sharing this content? And is it just, am I curtailing this kid from tomorrow? They might be good at something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, you just said something and it's reminded me of, and in the age of AI, and this is because it happened to someone I know, as we were wondering, my best friend and I were wondering, she stopped posting her kid online, like even just pictures, not really they were making content, it was just pictures. And then apparently, and because she's, not have influencers, she has many followers, let me say, and someone a couple of people took her kid, and because of her following, went to a brand and was like, I can use my kid to create content for your brand. And this brand paid a stranger for that. And then now they're coming to her account now because it was a pseudo account, or someone created a fake account and then coming to her and we're like, we paid you, where's the content? And she's wondering, my kid, I don't post content with my kid. It's just I have photos of him online. And it's just like, oh my goodness. And she took them all down. And you can imagine in the age of AI where you can take someone's face or someone's kid's face and make them dance. They don't even have to be the ones dancing, but you can make them dance and you can make them sing and you can, and this is your child that someone else is monetizing, right? And so there's also that awareness that you have to have as a parent is you're exposing them to strangers who they can use them for their own good. It might not even be you monetizing them, but someone else can take that and use it and create account for them and decide, it grows a following and then they get brand deals. Imagine. And this is your child.
Isn't there a European country that's gone ahead and put it into law that you can own your AI rights?
Oh, really?
This is so important for parents to understand. I usually joke about this. I'm a prophetess, right? Like, I love to just imagine. My mind is always in the future.
Yeah.
Right? Why? Because the history is unfolding as we're speaking.
Yeah.
Right? People will be talking about this moment and they'll probably be quoting me in when your stuff is unfolding as exhibit number 1, right?
Yeah.
So what am I saying? Imagine a European country realizing that AI rights are important. Yeah. So you are there, right? You've taken your kid, and now your kid wakes up 10 years from now, right? Where now this Kenya is now having deep, real talk because things have hit the fan with this AI stuff, right? Yeah. And so maybe your kid is unable to even access jobs, right? Why? Because AI already has everything about them because you already, like, they have a database of everything about your child. Like, we know what you eat, we know what you, because what is data? I can be able to predict who you are. I can actually be able to, if I get your data sets, I can predict how you'll retire. Right?
True.
Who you'll retire, whether you'll marry. And so all these nuances, and then it can replicate you on the internet, right?
Yeah.
So you're really exposing your child. And to be honest, I don't think anybody has an answer to these questions.
Yeah.
Right? So I think there needs to be a level of intentionality as to what is the reason your child has ended up on the internet, because there's no consent allowed involved.
Yeah.
And then you'll say, well, they were under my care, but was it in their interest? Was it for their good, or was it just you were bragging or trying to show the world, or you were trying to use them to make money? These will be real concerns.
So how do we help them? And like, if I'm a parent and I've already done this, and there's kind of no going backward, but I want to pivot. Like, I'm listening to these conversations and it's making me reach a point of awareness and realization. And this is twofold: is one, what does going back look like, or what does that intentionality look like? But two, if, for example, they get to a point when we're talking, I kind of remember Camp Muller's story, right? Is they hit fame at quite a young age in teenagehood, right? And they were performing at world stage, going on tours. You imagine in your 13, 14, 15, 16, going on world tours and probably not traveling with your parents always, right? And there's someone who your parent has put to manage you and manage your talent. And they're in it for the money, because them, it's probably not their best interest. It's, I'm making money. I have a percentage, like a 5% that I'm getting. So it's a job. Yeah, it's a job for me, right? And I get to a point and I'm like, this is not for me. But then I have to self-heal. But what's my parents' involvement in my healing journey? Like, I've decided this affected me in 1 to 3 ways. And this is why either I would lash out or I behave the way I do. But then now there's a healing journey that needs to happen and go on? What does that look like, and what's the parent's role? I can imagine.
So I think first, a lot of work in terms of what's the reason you've put your kid on the internet.
Yeah.
Right. And be honest with yourself, right? Because who can tell you how to raise or what to do with your child, right? There are people who are watching this conversation and saying, I take everything you've said, still, I'm okay with overexposing my child. Like, I've seen people change their kids' diapers on the internet. I'm telling you, it's terrible. Because I didn't, like, and the only reason I say this is because there is, in this same space as I'm watching, right, when I didn't ask for this content, right? There's a woman or a man in the world, and we have seen now, this nowadays there are no, this information is there. For example, you see Telegram groups where, I'd like to say perverts are exchanging content of their own family members.
My goodness.
I need you to understand that. Of their own family members exchanging, right, in WhatsApp, in these Telegram groups. And I'm not talking about like 700 or 600. I'm talking about in the thousands and the thousands and thousands of perverts, right? And where do you think they're getting this stuff, right? Some is just you're providing it for free, right? So I think at the end of the day, we just need to understand that the internet space is not a friendly space.
It's not a safe space.
It's not a safe space. It's not utopia. Everybody here loves my child.
Yeah.
I can tell because of likes. Right? No. Be intentional. Why is my child on the internet? Use this space wisely, right?
Yeah.
I'm using it to be able to do A, B, C, D, E. Is it in the best interest of the child? Great. I'll do this. But if you've already done that, there's room for you to do best practice, right? If you feel like your child currently is overexposed, I don't think even for an adult, overexposure is something you can't handle, right?
Yeah.
So if you feel like, and you want to review, just look and say, is my child overexposed? To what end are all this content of my child on the internet? And if you feel like you want to start a new journey, educate yourself about good practices, because there's so many people teaching this kind of information. And go and practice it step by step. But most importantly, every parent, whether your child is on the internet or not, because one day they will embrace it, right? Teach your children to understand that this place is a facade, right?
Well, that's, I think you're alluding to the next episode we should have you back for, which is once kids have put themselves on the internet without awareness of all the things. Yes, everything you talked about, absolutely true. Now it's the child or it's the young person's responsibility, and no one's ever taught them how to manage that experience. No one's taught them how to navigate these things. And so I think we should be, right now we spend a lot of time talking about parents who are putting their young kids on, but what happens when it is their choice and yet they're not ready to handle what's about to happen?
I think it's super critical. First, as you get into the internet space, know that it's like going out in the dark, right? Or going out on the streets. Like, what's the first thing your parent tells you? Like, when you leave the house, know that there are good people.
Yeah.
And there's also
be home by 10 o'clock.
Right? Exactly. In fact, be home as soon as darkness. Close that thing. Go and sleep.
Yeah. Oh, it's darkness online? Get the hell out of it.
Exactly. like such tenets. Why? Because there's a reason why your parents tell you not to go out late at night, because that's when, things happen, right? It's the same thing also on the internet. So I would advise, right, which I know maybe if you can, try and avoid being on the internet space late, and also involve maybe not your parents, but like try and involve someone who's older than you, and do not be on the internet by yourself. Do not have a private access to a world that nobody in your real world knows that you're a part of. What do I mean? Let at least one person, even if it's a friend, know your account, right? So there are people who'd love to be mysterious. They have an account nobody knows about and they're posting stuff there. Because when you're interacting with these bad actors on the internet, they will isolate you from
Yes.
your reality.
Yeah.
Right? And as an individual, and I always say this even for adults, you never know when you're being isolated.
No,
Yeah.
it's true.
You
Right?
don't.
People can be so good at just, teaching you stuff and really isolating you from your real
They call it grooming.
grooming, right? So someone can groom you. So
Yeah.
the best way to protect yourself, because sometimes you're like, oh, my parents, I don't want them to know my account. Which if you're already hiding that, then I think you should be asking yourself questions like, what is it that I'm hiding?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But find and parents, this is where I think we play a big role. I always say that I think with today's parenting, we are creating a little islands instead of communities, because let's be honest, it'll be very difficult for a child who's 10 or 12 to connect with a 45-year-old mom on digital, but you had a younger sister or an auntie who's closer to that age, because that's how we used to do it with African society, right?
Yeah.
So in such a space, when I'm talking to a teenager, I'm telling them, find that your big sister, right?
Yeah.
Let them know, right? I mean, if you have free and open dialogue, have somebody. Don't do things isolated, because when things become problematic, they can, especially because you're bringing, the internet is basically, you've opened a door and the world
Yeah.
has a key.
Yeah.
And if
they
you're
can
not
come in.
following your kids
Yeah.
on whatever platform they are on, at whatever age they are,
Yeah.
then you're missing your responsibility
Yeah.
to keep an eye on them.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you don't know what the secret account is, but when your daughter or your son is gone off in a direction because you're seeing the content that they're interacting with. And if you just spend a little bit of time paying attention to that, that might give you some of the cues.
Absolutely. And the algorithm will definitely, we have a lot of work to do, but I think we have to be open to learn every day,
Yeah.
as the algorithms and the apps are unfolding, because every day there's new updates on even how we can be able to protect ourselves when we're on the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's I know we're going to wrap up in just a second, but
The alarm went off.
there's a there's a saying that I absolutely hate. I hate it because it's true, but it's completely true about the wrong thing. It's kids are digital natives. They know how to do things on a phone, on a device. They know how to do things. They're better than me at that iPad because they grew up with it. They were born with it. Just because something was designed to be so easy to use that a child can use it doesn't mean that kids are digital natives, because they don't have this information. Most people don't have this information
Yeah.
about how to keep themselves safe, how to navigate unsafe spaces, how to avoid issues, how to rescue themselves when they're in those issues. Digital native, it does not equal I know what to do.
Yes.
And so we have to, I mean, as parents, we have to separate that perception. My kid's a digital native, they're okay. I'm just going to let them go. And that's where we are avoiding responsibility for something we should be really, really deep into. It's the biggest risk in their lives,
Yeah.
actually.
Absolutely. For those parents who say stuff like they grew up with it, it's like, to be honest, a driver's license is permitted to an 18-year-old, not because that's when they can reach the steering wheel.
Yeah.
Right? You can start driving at 7, right? But there's a reason why you don't buy your kid a car at 7.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they can drive,
Yeah.
but there's a reason why you don't.
Right.
There's a reason why if you want to show them, they sit on your lap, or you're that terrible driver who's just like, okay, look at Jaden, let's go. I've seen
Hit the
crazy
road,
videos.
Jaden.
I've seen a kid, I think on Thika Road, right? And they can barely reach the
Yeah.
steering wheel. I'm like, and the parent is still on the passenger seat, right?
Oh my goodness.
So anyway, to each their own. But there's a reason why you don't go ahead and buy that
them a
vehicle.
car.
Why? Because you're taking responsibility as a parent.
Yeah.
But for some strange reason, you then give access to the world. When I was a kid, we used to have parental guidance. And I say that because it came out in the 90s, I found out. Parental guidance. I shudder to think what things were like before parental guidance.
Is advice.
Oh, it was the Wild West.
It was just like you sit there with the whole family and now you're like, close your eyes. Right?
Show, don't
You know,
watch.
but when I was a kid, we used to have parental guidance. So first, the average parental guidance in an African house was that the moment you start hearing, they start even coming close towards each other. You know, one of the parents has coughed, and and once you hear that cough,
turn your head, look down, do something else.
Once you hear the cough, you just know it's
Go for water,
right? But then as you start getting closer to like teenagehood and your parents is those, you're like, I want to see what's happening here, right? But then you go to your friend's house, right? And these scenes, they don't speak cough. They cool. The whole parents, they are talking while these things are happening. They're like, oh, so what did you do with your homework? And they're just like, on the TV. And we're there. And then you start to realize parenting is different. Right? And so it makes it difficult for my parents to curtail what it is that I'm watching when they send me to your house. So what do my parents say? No sleepovers, no visiting people's houses, because that's when you get exposed. And I think with social media, it's the same thing. The parents who are saying that are literally just deciding that other people will raise their kids for them. Right? Because it is your responsibility. When you see a country saying, there's something you said when we started, and I giggled inside because I know that there's barely no parents who know this. What is the age kids are supposed to be on social media? 13.
13 is the legal age set by Facebook. WhatsApp, TikTok, Instagram, 13 years old. If you're younger than that, you should not be on the platform. And that's guidance from the platforms. So if we're just letting them do
and
whatever,
not just consuming,
we're not paying attention.
Also creating.
If you can't give Jaden the car keys
till 18.
Why? Because you're worried that he will crash. Well, then why are you so easy to give him car keys to the world? Like basically a spaceship. Go find.
Oh, and by the way, when you sign up for that account, it asks you how old you are, and you know what?
But
you just change it. You
as
just change a couple dates on the
count.
year, and suddenly you're 16. Not 13 or 12.
And I think social media platforms are like this because parents, there's the few that are saying no, and then there's the majority saying, but they know this technology, they grew up with it, and
Oh, they're better than I am at this.
Anyway, amazing conversations. I mean, we could talk on and on and on. But I mean, picking out from this is just intentional parenting and asking yourself why. Why am I doing this? Why
is this
am I
in Jaden's best interest?
Is it in Jaden's best interest now that we are using Jaden? Is it in Jaden's best interest? I actually have a friend who, for them, the kids do have phones and they're teenagers, but to download certain apps, it needs their permission. Like it goes to the parents' Gmail, and then you have to have a conversation of, okay, so you want to be on Instagram, why? So it helps them also create a system where they can create logic and understand for themselves, do I want to be it because everyone else as well is on it?
Oh, that's the worst. You want to jump off that cliff because they all are doing it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same logic.
Yeah. There are kids who are, when I was growing up, our parents would not allow us to watch TV 24/7.
Same.
So the TV would only be switched on at a certain time. We were not Mormons, but there was a specific time the TV would be on. And then there are those kids who never had TV in their homes, right?
Yes.
And it's not because they couldn't afford it, it's because their parents were very, like, TV time was when they'd read the newspaper. So they'd read the newspaper together. So what I'm trying to say is that intentional parenting is dependent on you as a parent and just how much what do you want to impart on this child. So if you want them for me to teach them on the internet, no problem, right? But your responsibility is to decide just how much or how exposed they are.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Growing up, we weren't allowed to watch The Beat. And people found it weird. Like, I'd only learn about secular music in school from people, and then now in high school. But it was intentional parenting. My parents know this is the values and what I want you to learn.
Yeah.
So I can't regulate the videos that are there. So you're not watching it all together. Yeah.
It's the best thing our parents did.
Yeah.
Will you come back for
another
Yeah,
episode?
absolutely.
Yeah.
And thank you
Fabulous.
guys so much for inviting me.
Yeah.
I love this kind of conversations because we're all learning these things together, and whatever we can be able to share, let's share.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Akili Pod.
All right.
Yay.